Your unauthorized construction violates Section 3 of the bylaws. Look at the warning sign.
This map confirms the gate is on my land.
At 4:27 a.m., I was standing barefoot on my back porch in cold air, staring at blue police lights bouncing off the lake like a disco, while a brand new metal gate sat chained across the path behind my dock. The officer sniffed and said he smelled fresh asphalt and hot coffee from his cruiser. Then he looked at me like I'd done something wrong. A neighbor lady in a bathrobe pointed from her deck and yelled, "He's back there again, officer. He's trespassing behind our homes." I blinked hard, because back there was my shoreline, my dock, my kayak rack, and now, a padlock with my name on a no-entry sign like I was some stray dog. This whole mess started the day the HOA decided to play king of the lake. HOA built a gate across the lake path behind my dock, then I pulled the riparian rights. That was the fight, right there. For years, there'd been a skinny gravel path that ran along the water, behind a line of docks, connecting to a little public launch spot. Folks used it for evening walks and fishing. I used it to roll my kayak down at 9 p.m. after work, when the water went quiet and the bugs calmed down. On May 3, 2024, I walked out with my paddle and saw a crew packing up, the air smelling like wet dirt and metal shavings. A gate post was sunk into the ground like a rude surprise. Karen from the board stood there with a clipboard and a grin that looked like it hurt. I tried to be normal about it. I really did. I walked over and said, "Hey, what's going on?" She smiled and said, "The HOA voted. This is private now. You can go around." Go around meant cutting through someone's yard or stepping in the water. I asked to see the vote and the reason. She said, "It's in the newsletter." Then she turned her back like I was a telemarketer. I emailed the board that same morning. No reply. I showed up at the next meeting on May 10, 2024, and sat on the folding chair that always wobbled. The room smelled like old carpet and lemon cleaner. Neighbors kept their eyes down, like they were scared to catch Karen's attention. When I spoke, the president just cleared his throat and said, "We're moving on." 2 people actually clapped like they were proud of ignoring me. By May 14, 2024, I had 3 violation notices taped to my door for unauthorized access to the shoreline. One had a fine for $200. Then came the calls. Karen called security. Security called the sheriff. The sheriff showed up twice in 1 week. I started feeling like I lived in some tiny kingdom where the queen hated my face. That's when I drew my line in the sand. I wasn't going to break anything. I wasn't going to scream on anyone's lawn. I promised myself I'd use proper channels only, even if it took longer. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I also made it painfully neat, because nothing scares a bully like organized paper. Timeline item 1 April 5 at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call. Timeline item 2 May 3 at 6:18 p.m. gate installed. Timeline item 3 May 14 at 9 p.m. fine notice posted. I didn't want drama. I wanted proof. On May 16, 2024, I filed a public records request with the county for plats, shoreline rules, and any permits tied to that gate. A week later, the file landed with 63 pages. I sat at my kitchen table, flipping through them while the smell of my burnt toast filled the room. And there it was. The shoreline wasn't owned by the HOA the way Karen claimed. My deed showed riparian rights, plain as day, meaning I had legal rights to access and use the water from my property. The county plat also showed a recorded easement along that path, meant for access and maintenance. Even better, there was no permit for a new structure blocking it. So I called the county inspector and asked a simple question: is that gate allowed? He paused and said, if it blocks an easement, absolutely not. I asked the sheriff's office about the repeated calls too, and they told me something I wrote down in big letters: patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. I saved the best part for the HOA meeting on June 7, 2024. I walked in with my binder like it weighed 100 pounds, even though it was just paper and patience. Karen smirked when she saw me. She whispered to someone, "Here comes Doc Boy again." I waited until open comments, then set the binder on the table with a thump that made the microphone squeal. I said, "I'm not here to argue. I'm here to show facts." I held up the county plat and the deed page. I explained, slow and simple, that riparian rights meant the water access behind my dock wasn't something the board could lock up for fun. Then I slid the inspector's letter across the table. Right on cue, the county inspector himself walked in, followed by a sheriff's deputy, because I'd asked them to attend. The inspector pointed at Karen and said, "That gate is unpermitted and it blocks a recorded easement. It has to come down." Phones popped up all over the room. People started filming. Someone in the back snorted laughter. Karen's face went shiny and tight, like she'd swallowed a lemon whole. The next morning, June 8, 2024, orange notice tape was wrapped around the gate, and a removal deadline was posted in big letters. Karen tried one last move and called in another trespasser report at 7:12 p.m., but the same deputy arrived, checked my paperwork, and calmly told her to stop. He wasn't mean. He was worse than mean. He was bored. He said, "Ma'am, this is a civil matter and your reports are documented." She went quiet, because bullies hate receipts. Within 4 days, the gate was gone. The HOA ate the cost, and I heard it was over $4,000 between removal and legal fees. Karen resigned for personal reasons 2 weeks later, which is fancy talk for everyone finally getting tired of her. Now the path is open again, and on warm evenings I see kids riding bikes and older folks waving as they pass my dock. Last weekend, one neighbor even brought me a lemonade and said, "Thanks for standing up without being crazy." I laughed and told him, "Believe me, I wanted to be crazy. I just chose paperwork instead." Please follow for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.